Michael L's team and the fans first team. So we're gonna get right into this, man. Came across a couple of clips, some old clips, some new clips, and you know, we're gonna talk about swagger. Now, I think swagger is a very overused term. It's kind of a played out term, but it doesn't matter how played out or how overused it gets, it's still a thing. And when you're talking about swagger, the bad thing with words is that people hear the words and then they start saying the words and then they're like, oh, well, just because I know what this word means, I must have it. Let's just get down to the root of it. When you're talking about swagger, Michael Jordan, you feel me? He had an immense swagger, obviously, because people still wearing his shoes and he don't even play no more. But more so than the shoes and the style, it was the demeanor. You understand? It was the winning mentality. Tom Brady, 6 Super Bowls. There's a swagger there. He expected to win, right? I think Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs now, right? A lot of swagger there. Thornhill talked about it, and we're going to play a clip of that, where he said when he was in Kansas City, the fans expected to win. So, I'm kind of active on the internet or whatever in the Brown spaces. And again, I know that the internet isn't representative of the Browns fandom at large. So I'm not trying to make no generalizations. However, I think if I'm being honest and if you being honest with yourself, you have a lot of the post-traumatic issues of the team being horrible for 20 years. And a lot of people had an attitude that you're not really going to believe it till you see it, right? Let's take somebody that's 300 pounds, right? And they're trying to lose weight or whatever. And you give them this meal plan, you give them this diet. And you say, if you do these things, you're going to lose the weight. It may not reflect in the scale first, but if you stick with it for 6 months, 12 months, you're going to eventually see the results. Now, most people, because they're short-sighted, because they're impatient, if they don't see the results immediately, they're going to give up and they're not going to follow through with that diet. We've talked a lot about it, the foundation, right? And Steve mentioned what Zadarius Smith said, that he came back because of the culture, right? And I don't know that from 99 to 2017, if you had guys saying, well, I just want to come back to the Browns because of the culture up in here. I don't really know how prevalent that was. You feel me? You had a couple of career guys like Joe Thomas, but I think that was just a loyalty thing. You understand? If he really wanted to win, he probably talked about it. Peyton Manning wanted him to come to Denver. So you got a situation where now, because we know people want to go to Pittsburgh and Baltimore. We know that for a fact. Even if they down years, you feel me? People want to go to Pittsburgh because of pedigree. You feel me? The Ravens. Not as much pedigree as Pittsburgh, but especially when you're talking about defense, when you're talking about, the way the organization is ran because of, how they pretty much got an established team being the original Browns, but that's neither here nor there. People understand you want to go there, even though they're not quote unquote glamorous cities like a Miami or a New York or a LA or something like that. Right. So you got a situation where you got a foundation where players want to come there. You got coaches that want to come there. You got a litany of coaches now. You got your Deuce Staley's, you got your Jim Schwartz, you got Mike Vrabel that just came back. You understand? Stefanski's a 2-time coach of the year. Let's pause right there real quick. We're going to take a break and we're going to come back. We're going to play a couple of these clips and we're going to get to the point of what I'm talking about. All right, so we back. So when we left off, we was talking about we'll call them an embarrassment of riches when you're talking about the coaching staff, right? You got people that want to come and be a part of, I think everybody sees it's the turnaround, because let's be honest, if Stefanski wins the Super Bowl, he's going to be viewed as the guy that helped turn the Browns around. Same thing with Andrew Berry, same thing with Jim Schwartz, same thing with Mike Vrabel. They all get to attach their name to that. And let's be honest, that's a big deal, because when the Browns left, they took the roots of the franchise and moved it somewhere else, and Baltimore got an established team. That's why Baltimore has been a consistent winner for 20 years. Let's talk about where I live. I live in Nashville, the Titans. The Titans got the Oilers, an established team with coaching staff, with history, with pedigree, with all of that. The first year they got to Nashville, they went to Super Bowl. I lived here during that time. You feel me? And there's a lot of people that, not many, because Nashville's a transplant city at this point, but it's a lot of people that's still around that lived there from that time that are still Titans fans to this day. Now, they've been to the AFC Championship, I think, a couple of times, but for the most part, that was their best year, right? But they got an established team. When the Browns came back in '99, they were considered an expansion team. By my knowledge, the only team that's been to the Super Bowl that was an expansion team, we'll say, that started in the '90s, was the Panthers, because I don't think the Jaguars have been. I know the Texans hadn't been. Who else was fairly new? I guess those were the Jacksonville, Carolina, Cleveland, and the Texans. So I guess those were the four. There may be one or two other ones that I'm forgetting. But what I'm trying to establish is that for 20 years, the Browns had to basically redo what had been built from 46 up until 94 or 95. They had to redo that because that went to Baltimore. So now when we're talking about Browns fans and swagger, right? There's an expectation a lot of times when it's swagger. Let me give you an example. If you don't have a car, right? Let's say you take the bus and you go to a bar to pick up chicks, women, let's say women. You go to a bar to pick up women, try to hit on women. And there's another guy, he got a Bentley outside. You got a bus pass. What does he, is the Bentley that much of the deal breaker? Because, well, the Bentley can't come inside the bar. The Bentley can't come inside the restaurant. That's where your swagger comes into play. That's where your confidence comes into play. That's when your game comes into play. Because that's the thing we'll be talking about. When they're on the field, all of that pedigree, all of that mess, all of the names, all of that don't matter. When you get in between, whether it's the basketball you playing or the baseball diamond, or in this case, football, the gridiron, all of that mess don't mean nothing. That's why the undefeated Patriots didn't go undefeated, because the Giants didn't care nothing about that shit, because they felt like we can beat them, because they came close to beating them. It was a couple of teams that almost beat them that season, but there's a reason that they play the games. So let's play the clips real quick, and then because we ain't going to make this a long video. We're going to play the clips. We're going to wrap up, and then I believe we got a group show tomorrow, I believe, with the whole squad. So let's go ahead and play this real quick. You're going to hear it's mostly Juan Thornhill clips. This is a clip from early, not last year, but the year before last year. Then you got a clip from after the 49ers game. Then you got a clip after they lost to the Texans in the playoffs. And then you're going to have a Zadarius Smith clip going into OTAs. We're going to listen to them clips. We're going to talk about them. Then we're going to talk about going into 2024 and why the mentality should be expectation to not only win, but to dominate. Let's go ahead and play that real quick.
Not really anything negative. It's just like in Kansas City, I use them because that's where I was before. But in Kansas City, like those fans there, they were, I would say, too cocky. Like they were just like, we're going to win this week. And the players can feel that. Like when you walk into the stadium, you know that you're going to win and everyone is behind you. You don't want to be walking around with fans saying, I don't know if you're going to win or not. I hope we win this year. Like we don't want to see that as a team. We want them guys to be behind us, pushing us every day and be like, we're going to win. And once you have your fans backing you up, it makes us want to play harder for you as fans.
Everything this week, honestly, like all you see, like people say they don't see the stuff on social media. I'm gonna be honest, I saw it. Like it pissed me off just saying that like we had some of our fans not believing in us, and obviously the 49ers thought they were gonna come in and just walk all over us. But like I said, I believed all week, and we came out.
It's going to be hard for us to to really appreciate the good things that have happened this season, right? Like in this moment, because the game is so fresh. We just lost the game yesterday, but coach, he kind of like opened our eyes up about it. He said you got to really take a look back at the good things that have happened this season, and there's a lot of good football that happened. Like despite of all the guys getting injured, we had 5 quarterbacks this year. If you really look at it, and that's like unheard of. 5 quarterbacks, guys getting injured like every single week with a season-ending injury. That's huge. Some teams you lose one player, your season's over. I mean, we lost multiple, and guys just seem like they never quit. and that shows a lot about this team. And like I said, I feel like guys will come back next year ready to go. I came in here, like, some people really liked what I was doing and some people really hated it, like they seemed like I was talking a lot, just saying, like, speaking about the Super Bowl, saying best in the world, things like that. People didn't like it, and then, like I said, some people did, but like, you have to speak those things into existence. Like, if I'm constantly sitting here talking about the Super Bowl, that's how you make guys believe. If I'm talking about the Super Bowl to these fans, that's how you make people believe. And once you continue to win, like, people start to believe. Like, I started feeling like these fans started to get behind us a little bit more each and every week when we continue to win. So when you have those fans that's behind you, it just makes us want to play so much harder for them. So, I'm excited about everything. Like I said, like, there's no reason to hang our head. Guys, they fought their ass off this year, and I'm excited to get back next year. Just going to take some time away from football, let my body heal, and I promise, like, I'll tell you right now that Cleveland to get the best version of Juan Thornhill next year.
Chief motivation for you to re-sign?
The culture, the chemistry with this team, man, everything, the brotherhood, man, the team camaraderie. I had chances to go other places, but I felt like I didn't want that, man. I felt like we didn't get to where we wanted to last year, man, and we got something that we need to finish here, and hopefully we can get that done this year.
All right. So you heard a couple of the players on the defense talk about, mainly Juan Thornhill talk about fans and, kind of their anxiety, and they don't really have the expectation of winning. He talked about a game where he could tell, he saw it on the internet. They was expecting that the 49ers were going to come in there and whoop their ass. And then, he talks about after the season how they dealt with all that adversity and they were still able to win 11 games, make it to the playoffs. In the past, we don't even have to talk about 20 years ago. We know what would happen. So you have the foundation of things that are being laid to where you can actually start to establish some pedigree that cannot even rival what happened in the 80s and earlier, in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, but you can actually exceed that, because that should be the goal, to exceed that pedigree. You understand? Now, I want to show you real quick Schwartz's defenses. All right. And so he has these are top 10 rush defenses, right? Now you see that everything on this list here since 1999 is within the top 10. So if we go to 2023, the Browns were ranked 11th in run defense. Now, in the past, if you were the leader in the AFC North in terms of run defense, you typically won the division. That's what typically happened. Last year was an anomaly because the Ravens won the division. Let's take a look at where they were. They were 14th in run defense. The Steelers were 19th, and the Bengals were 26th. The Browns were right outside the top 10 at 11. I guarantee you that Jim Schwartz is telling his defense that 11th in run defense ain't going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. They were number one to finish the season in pass defense. And what does everybody talk about in the Houston game? Well, they got passed all over. That's what they talk about. So I'm here to tell you, the number one pass defense really don't mean nothing. It helps, but really don't mean nothing. You need to be able to stop the run as well. You understand that? So, because when they was getting passed all over, well, now they don't know what's coming. So I'm sure that Schwartz is telling them, okay, we got to duplicate the pass defensive stats, but run defense, we got to tighten that up. And I'm sure that that's why Zadarius Smith and a lot of them guys from the defense are looking at that, and they see the opportunity, because this defense can be top 5 in both passing and they can be top 5 in rush. And again, you do that, history has shown you that you're going to win the division 9 times out of 10. Again, I don't have all my graphics here, but 16 times the Steelers have had a top 10 rush defense since 1999. 16 times, and it looks like they have won the division, 6 times in that span. The Ravens have had a top 10 run defense. Okay, I don't have it broke down here on my notes, but I think it's like 19 times for them. Like they've had a top 10 run defense a couple of times. And as far as their division wins, it was like 5 or 6, something like that. And then the Bengals, every time they won the division, every time they won the division, they had a top 10 run defense. 2009, 2013, 2015, 2021, 2022. So run defense is definitely going to be the key. So let's get back to our point. We was talking about swagger. The Cowgirls are coming to town week 1. And I know a bunch of Cowgirls fans. I can't stand the Cowgirls. I really hate the Cowgirls. I just don't like them. I don't like the Cowboys at all. But one thing that I'll give their fans credit for, and they haven't won nothing since the 90s. They still believe. You understand? They still believe. Now, they've been consistent, but they've been mediocre, really. You know, they're not the Chiefs. They're not the Patriots. They're not even the Ravens or the Steelers. Let's just keep it 100. But, you know, and they'll say, oh, well, they've been better than the Browns. Okay, well, if that's your bar to step over the last 20 years, then fine. That's great. If that's what you're comparing yourself to. What I'm saying is, though, let's take it to the AFC North. The Steelers are on the decline, and yet Browns fans will still look at the Steelers as this behemoth. Like, oh man, Pittsburgh's coming to town. This should be the year that starts to change, especially when you got the Chubb revenge factor, especially when you got the fact that the quarterback situation is in turmoil. This should be get back. This should be, okay, yeah, we're going to start 20 years. It was dominance. We about to repay the favor. We about to show you what that felt like. And the players can only do so much. The fans have to transfer that energy into it. There has to be an expectation. There has to be a confidence but we don't care what you did in the past. Really doesn't mean shit. Y'all don't care what the Browns did in the past. So who really cares? You understand? So hearing it from the players' voices, and you got and I'll end on this point here, 2 more points. In the event that, let's just say, certain fans' expectations are met and they don't really excel, what's going to happen is players that want to come to Cleveland or that were here, they're going to say, don't go to Cleveland. Don't go there. There's a reason that they haven't won for 20 years. There's a lot of negativity in that place. You can't win in a place like that. That's what's going to happen. So that's the importance of this foundation. It has to be collective to where, oh yeah, there's a buzz here. There's a frenzy here. And it can't be no situation where we're going to show it to you when you show it to us. Don't really work like that. You feel me? It don't really work like that. And here's another thing to ponder on. In the event the Browns do win the Super Bowl, you think they're going to be able to keep Schwartz? You think they're going to be able to keep all these people? Think about every time the Patriots won a Super Bowl. Any team wins a Super Bowl. Everybody wants to get paid. They lose coaches. They lose things. So, you know, I guess if you're satisfied with one, then great. But if you actually trying to reestablish pedigree, you're trying to reestablish, we'll say, the dynasty of the 40s and 50s, there's going to have to be a lot that changes. You feel me? And I think the team is showing you. They're showing you these are the changes we make and these are the results that you're seeing. But you still got fans that's like, yeah, you know what? That ain't enough. You feel me? That's not enough. And I got to ask you, short of winning the Super Bowl, what would be enough? Because I think there's a contingent of people out there, if they win it, that ain't going to be enough. And then, you know, you also got some of the people that like to troll, well, you only won one. It don't mean that. Or there's an asterisk next to it. So there's always going to, you know, that's where you got what we talked about, your swagger, your confidence, your game got to be impeccable. It has to be airtight. You feel me? And I think there's a contingent of Browns fans that do have that confidence, that do have that expectation. But I think there's just as much of a large contingent of the anxiety, the hopelessness, the despair. You feel me? You know, that's not really going to get it done. And if you really, you feel me, want to support the team, you know, want to see the team win, there has to be a certain, especially when they're showing it to you. It's been up and down. But this is the runway to try to get to actual consistent winning, especially given that really in the AFC North is probably just you and the Ravens right now on paper. But we'll see, because every season is different. But that'll do it for this episode of Dawg Food. Again, you can check out Dawg Food Store for all of your exclusive dog food merchandise. You got your elf hoodie here. You got your dog hat here, and a lot of other merch there. I know we're working on some stuff with the Fanatical L's. We're going to be dropping some fire on your head with that as well. But yeah, hope y'all enjoyed this one. I'm still going through some of the old film, so I'll be putting out another couple of vids on just, you know, some film analysis and maybe what that might look like in Dorsey's new offense. But hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.